Almost 5,000 years ago, humanity was brought to its knees by Erebos, a being known as the genesis of evil, to get rid of him. The world gather with the four great stupid heroes known as Elven Archmage, with the names called as the Poet of Stars, named Lana, Dwarf's Master Swordsmith called the Divine Blacksmith named Dueno, Beastman called the Brave named Aaron. One of them is Dragon King named Lysinas at the end. All of them perished in battle, leaving only one man standing, Kyle, which soon known as the last hero, but with a twist which tries to recover his friend, the Dragon King, but that stupid lizard wants to give its heart to Kyle to save the humanity. But Kyle don't want his heart, he want his friend back, but Dragon King forcefully give its heart. Kyle feel helpless, but take the heart, and in regret, he unleashed the power and launched towards the evil king. Thanks to his friend's sacrifices, Kyle defeated the incarnation of evil and saved humanity. But that was 5,000 years ago. In the present day, history tells a different story, which taught everyone, is that was King Lysinus' sacrifice that brought about the defeat of Erebos, the genesis of evil. This has gone unquestioned. Until now, a woman tells this story to a baby named Leo, which he likes the story, but to her surprise, he don't like the story. But she still continues. But wait a minute, this not the real story. Here is the real twist, Kyle. The last hero is reborn in this era, as Leo learns of the tale of Erebos' defeat and realizes his name is nowhere to be found in the story. Year passes and he enrolls at the Royal School of Delon inside the classroom. The teacher stands before the students who telling the student this is the current ERA, which named as the Era of Heroes. It has been 5,000 years since the hero record first appeared in the world. Since then, the lower world has undergone many changes. Now, the Royal School of Delan has been chosen to host this year's Lumene entrance examination. The teacher is filled with excitement, confident. There are some students among us who have the potential to become heroes. He believes that someone will pass the entrance exam, and one day, their names have been written in the hero record. Because of this, he urges everyone to pay attention during the lecture. However, not everyone shares the teacher's enthusiasm. One particular student seated in the last row appears completely uninterested in class instead of attention. He's snoring at the last bench. This student is Leo, who make the teacher frustrated by his lack of attention. He states some stupid reasons for Leo's isn't paying attention. It must mean he already knows the material. Then teacher asks him to explain the ritual from 5,000 years ago that had to undergo to earn the title of a hero. Leo stands up from his seat and responds to the teacher's question in the most casual way possible. He simply states that if someone made a name for themselves, people would just start worshipping them on their own. Leo's full name is Leo Plav, a 15-year-old from the prestigious House of Plav. It goes without saying that the teacher is clearly disappointed, and he turns to the class and asks if anyone else would like to answer with more detailed response. One of the brighter students eagerly raises their hand and offers an explanation. This student explains that in ancient times there was no direct way to gain the gods' recognition. Instead, only holy rituals were used to choose who would be considered a hero. A prime example of such a ritual is the ritual of blood. The teacher is thoroughly impressed by the depth of the answer. He's certain that this student Gullivan, the greatest magical genius in the kingdom, Gullivan, Tratton from House Tratton. Anyhow, it seems like Leo is getting pretty tired of the usual nonsense meeting. The gods was nothing special back in the day, as it was just a part of life after all the gods once gifted the lower world with a miracle to celebrate the great heroes who fought against Erebos. The hero record is made, but for some reason, Leo can't understand why he's the only one who's been completely erased from history. The students gather around the windows, all eager to catch a glimpse of the Zinger clan as they march through the corridor at the front of the group. There's a lady, Celia Zinger, a name that piques everyone's interest and curiosity. An announcement rings out for all students to gather in the auditorium for a mandatory assembly as the Zinger clan is visiting the school. As Leo begins to leave the classroom, Gullivan calls out to him. He asks if Leo plans to, tries for getting noticed by the Zingers, but Leo, uninterested, simply shrugs it off. He just wants to go home, which triggers Gullivan, and he gets fired up. He explains that he does not care about Zingers either, but he's definitely going to check out Celia, especially since he considers her a fellow rival. Well, Leo believes it, and Move, they know it. Just lie later. We find Leo in the dojo, visibly worn out, after tirelessly swinging his practice stick. He eventually grabs his sword and heads for the outside. Just as he steps outside, he's ambushed by a woman who charges at him with the force of a runaway train. Leo, though startled, manages to block her strike with his blade. It's clear from their interaction that this isn't the first time these two have crossed swords. They have a shared history, one where such exchanges are far from uncommon. The lady is looking forward to sparring with him after a time long and declares that this match to be his final test, before she grants him permission to attend Lumine Academy. As it turns out, this formidable woman is none other than his mother. In an instant, she lunges at him again and their swords clash once again, while Leo is already struggling to keep up. His mother casually remarks that she hasn't even used a fraction of her full strength blow after blow. The spar continues, each strike more intense than the last. Eventually, however, she is the mother she held back at the last moment. But Leo turns the tide. His sheer skill and mastery of swordsmanship allow him to overpower his mother, forcing her to surrender. The woman is left in awe of her son's talent and growth. She stands up and in a softer tone asks, "Why are you so determined to attend Lumine Academy?" Before the story moves forward, a little context about the academy is necessary. Lumine Academy, the Academy of Human Heroes, is the one form, the 4 academy who has the hero record among them, along with the other races' academy. Leo strongly suspects Lumine Academy is the most likely place to uncover remnants of his past life as hero. Kyle, just then, Leo's mother, then reminds him that the members of the Zinger clan are currently visiting Delon and they will be staying in the Plav mansion, though she don't have intention to have them in their home. But she has a request for Zeiss, the vice patriarch of the Zinger clan, hoping that he might teach Leo the Zinger aura technique. She believes that with the technique, Leo will become strong enough to be admitted to Lumine Academy next year. However, what she doesn't know is that her son is determined to be admitted this year. He has no intention waiting for another whole year to achieve his goals. Switch the scene. We seize the Plav mansion, where Celia Zinger is being escorted by Plav family guards. As soon as she steps out of the carriage, she, disguised why her uncle chooses to stay in a place like this, when they could have easily rented an entire hotel for himself. As we know already, she is Celia Zinger, 15 years old, a sword princess hailing from the Zinger clan. Her primary focus is on the Lumen entrance exam, and she's skeptical about how a small family help her. At that moment, Celia's uncle calls out to her, who is Zeiss Zinger, the vice patriarch of the Zinger clan. He teasingly asks, "Aren't you even a little curious to meet Leo, the very boy who boldly declared he wasn't interested in the Zinger clan?" Celia remains nonchalant and remarks that if Leo is just a hopeful knight who can't even use aura yet, in her opinion, he is probably not all that impressive. However, they entered the mansion. Zeiss steps forward to greet the heads of the Plav household. He exchanges respectful words with Dade, Plav the patriarch, and Reyna, Plav his wife, who is father and mother of Leo. Both hosts graciously return the gesture, welcoming the Zingers to their home. Zeiss then formally introduces Celia to Reyna and Dade. The young lady promptly reciprocates their hospitality with a courteous introduction of her own. She expresses her gratitude for being hosted in their home. Reyna steps forward and takes a moment to observe Celia. She notes that Celia closely resembles her father, an uncle both in appearance and behavior. Celia notices the Reyna's striking black hair and red eyes. It doesn't take long for her to realize that Reyna is part of deserting her family, which also makes her Celia's aunt. Later, Zeiss and Reyna, who share the bond of being brother and sister, sit back and begin catching up during their conversation. Zeiss mentions their recent visit to the Royal School of Delon, where they had hoped to catch a glimpse of Leo. However, they were disappointed to find that he had already left the school. Reyna apologizes on behalf of her son, acknowledging that he was uninterested in meeting anyone and his behavior may seem disrespectful. Z then curiously questions his sister about Leo, asking what kind of person he is. Reyna speaks highly of him, claiming that Leo is unbelievably talented. Then Zeiss put a question whether Leo is truly worthy or not to inherit the flames of Zinger family. Reyna praises her son, but she makes it clear that she's not simply speaking as a mother of Leo. Genuinely, he has the talent and potential to be worthy of deserting her legacy Zinger. Then he agree with her, but still, he need to take a test of him seriously by himself to check its worthiness.